Alright, Aelquilibra returns as a Phantom unit, combining it with his CEO powers with products. So let's begin. Here's the starter, Leibrecht Dragon, and yes, this is going to be a new archetype combining with the old units. And then we go to the grade 1 with AK power, Leibrecht Rock'n'Roll Dragon. So it has a skill where auto when riding on top of the grade 0 Galrail Dragon. Cost, reveal a grade 3 Aelquilibra from your ride deck, look at the top 7 cards of your deck for either one product or one Crimson Moon card and add it to your hand, of course shuffle your deck. Typical grade 1 for most of the Phantom Ride line searches for your Crimson Moon or your key pieces. In which this card also has a unique second skill where Axe Soul, while you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Aelquilibra. Cost, put this to the drop zone and then choose a product card from your drop zone and put it to the order zone, which will be a very useful ability for this deck. Because unlike Welstra where the products are just activate abilities at the order zone, these products are actually going to end up turning into units that won't go back to the order zone. And then we go to the grade 2 with tank power, Leibrecht Gatling Kone Dragon, which has a skill Act Vanguard once per turn. Cost, reveal a grade 3 Aelquilibra from your ride deck and then choose a product card in your order zone and operate it. Kinda similar to Welstra in a way, but the second skill is auto when rolled upon by your at least grade 3 Vanguard Aelquilibra. Cost, put this card to the order zone and then search your deck for up to one product card, reveal it and put it in your hand, of course shuffle your deck. In which the last skill is Count Order Zone. This card is treated as a set order and all your rear guards that have Liberator in their names get intercept and can intercept from the back row, which will be a crucial ability. And just for a little reference, Liberator is actually going to be your product cards, and they're going to be turning into units kind of like Fright Shoot Maximum, except that this time it's going to be all your products. And now we go to the grade 3 with 13 power, Leibrecht Commander Aelquilibra Fantôme, which has a skill. Act Vanguard once per turn, cost, reveal up to 3 product cards from your hand, and put all the revealed cards in the order zone, and then draw a card. And you put at least 2, plus 5 keep powering in turn. Very important skill just for your setup, especially since you're going to need to recycle a lot of your products in this deck. But as a reference, this is almost like calling 3 units on the board for this deck. With the second skill, Act Vanguard once per turn, cost, counter blast 1, soul blast 1, choose a number of products in the order zone would live with their different card names and operate them up to the same grades of your opponent's Vanguard. So once again, it's restricted based on your opponent's Vanguard's grade. So your opponent's Vanguard is at grade 2 when you're going first, you can only operate 2, and at grade 3 onwards, you're going to be operating 3. With the last skill being the Phantom skill, Act Vanguard once per turn, cost, find a Crimson Moon card from your hands or drop, and then choose any number of rear guards with the overcharge ability up to the same grade as your opponent's Vanguards and they give us 5 keep powering in turn, and if you chose at least 3, try plus 1 in turn. So basically this deck is better off going second as it will be full power right off the bat. And once again, overcharge is now brought back with Aelquilibra and combining it with Welstra's products. And if you guys don't remember what overcharge is, it's basically an ability where when a card is chosen by Aelquilibra, skill activates. So a bit unfortunate that it's only restricted to the Phantom skill, but luckily you only need to bind 1 a turn, so it's not too bad, although that means that you have to get that consistency of the Crimson Moon cards as well. But I do love the fact that it's a combination playstyle Welstra and original Aelquilibra, but everything really revolves around its support. In which we start off with the products, starting with the Liberator Tristia, which is a grade 3 set order product. You literally just place it on the order zone, and it has the skill of Count. It cannot be operated by any other ability other than through a Phantom, and if you're going to be searching for a Crimson Moon card, this is also treated as a Crimson Moon card. And also, when this card would be put to hand by a card ability, it goes to the order zone instead, which is actually very helpful. With the main skill Operate Auto Order Zone, when this card is operated, call this to rear guard as a 13k powered unit with 5k shield and a crit of 1 as a normal unit, and if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Aelquilibra, plus 10k powering in turn. And this is what I mean with Aelquilibra setting products to the order zone, because essentially it's like calling 3 units, and just by operating them, you get a unit. With the last skill being the Overcharge ability, where auto rearguard once per turn when chosen by at least the grade 3 Vanguard Aelquilibra, this card gets crit plus 1 in turn. So essentially you set this just to operate it, and then after that you just overcharge it for some extra crit, giving you some early game crit pressure with a lot of power. Pretty nice. And then we go to Liberator Rovoy, which is a grade 1 set order product, and just like the other one, it cannot be operated other than through Phantom units. It counts through Crimson Moon search when you're using the Crimson Moon, and when put to hand by ability, it goes to the order zone instead. With the main skill of on Operate Auto Order Zone, when this card is operated, you call this to rear guard as a grade 1 with 8k power and 5k shield with a crit of 1 and it's a normal unit, and then you choose one of your opponent's at least grade 3 units and minus 5k power on your opponent, which is actually pretty awesome that they're bringing that that aspect of Wellstra to this deck as well, with the minusing power. With the overcharged ability being on the back row center rear guard, so when chosen by Aelquilibra while your opponent's Vanguard is at least grade 3 and they have 4 or less damage, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent, but this ability cannot be played for the rest of the game. Essentially, this is an overcharged divine skill to deal your opponent 1 damage. In a way, it kind of references the divine skill that Aelquilibra actually has, but combining it with Taizo's satellite and just literally shoot your opponent in the face, although just only once. But overall, still a pretty good card because when you operate this, it still minuses your opponent's power, and being at 8k power on its own and minusing your opponent's 13k will be 8 to 8, so this card is still pretty useful to run. And if you decide to overcharge multiple of these, potentially minus even more power. And into our last product, Leibrecht, which is a grade 2 set order product, and just like the other ones, counted as the Crimson Moon Surge, can only be played through Fantôme operates, and also when put to hand by card ability, you put it to the order zone instead, with the main ability where when you operate it, auto order zone. Call this to rearguard as a grade 2 with 10k power and a crit of 1 with the intercept ability, and when called, you draw a card. But that's not the real reason you really run this card. You actually run it for the next ability where overcharge, when chosen by at least grade 3 Aelquilibra, it gets plus 5k power and this skill into the end turn. Auto rearguard once per turn. When your Vanguard attacks, cost range plus 3 to stand this unit. And if your opponent's Vanguard is at least grade 3, plus 10k as well. Basically, it's the Shihab of the deck, although it's just not Shihab. Very nice that you can restand this even if your opponent's still at grade 2, but extra bonus if your opponent's at grade 3, and also enables you some early game draw power if you need it. Although you're probably going to use this as a late game card anyway because it's a restanding rearguard. And anything that gives you additional attacks will always be run as extra 4 copies. And now back to the regular units, to a card that you're probably not going to play, Leibrecht, Diffusion Dragon, which is a grade 2 attacking power and the skill is auto rearguard when this card attacks while you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Aelquilibra plus 5k, and then at the end of battle, cost Soul Blast 1, retire this unit, choose a product from your drop zone and put it into the order zone. You have ways to recycle, but this is just another way that you can recycle if you wish, but most of the time your front row is going to be a little occupied by your product units, but the recycling is pretty nice, but I just think there's better stuff to run than this. And finally to our last card, Leibrecht for Vicious Dragon, which is grade 1 with K power and the skill is auto, when placed on rearguard from hand, cost counterblast 1, choose 2 products from your drop zone and put them to your hand, which in turn through their ability are gonna just put themselves back to the order zone anyway. In which the second ability is the overcharge ability, so when chosen by your at least grade 3 Aelquilibra, at the end of the battle that this unit boosts, cost put this to soul, look at the top 5 cards of your deck to choose either 1 Crimson Moon or a set order from among them, and put to your hand, of course shuffle your deck. This card is just a must run for the deck, it lets you recycle, and it also lets you further search, which is actually very crucial, especially for the Crimson Moon, that is very essential for your overcharge abilities. So no reason not to run this. And then finally, they also announced that there's going to be a lyrical manga, whatever, with more generic support along with another Bang Dream, which I'm not going to care. And so that's it for this new Aelquilibra Fantôme ride line. What do you guys think of it? Honestly, I'm very excited since Aelquilibra was one of my favorite units, although the original one was very simple to play and it kind of became lackluster over time with its support. And being the first Brandt Gate Dragon ride line is also very awesome. And I also really love that it combined the aspect of his own playstyle along with Wellstra into one, especially since Kiyoma in the manga became the CEO instead of Taizo, which I have to find very fitting because he operates his products very differently to compare to Taizo. And unlike Wellstra, where he only has one big fortress unit, I like how it turned all the weapons into dragon themed units, which I just really find awesome about the deck, and I'm gonna end up building it just because of it. But on that, that's it for this, and see y'all next time.